Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. I'm Chris, and today we're going to talk about a book. So it has been a few years since I uploaded my Norland series. If you haven't seen it, I'll put a link to the playlist here, but I basically created a playlist of every genuine Norland axe that I knew of, axe and cutting tool, because there's also a knife and a machete when you start talking about that Norland line of cutting tools, I guess. But I made a series of videos that were about 3 minutes long. And the intent was is if you were researching a Norland axe that you had recently found, that you could find that video through Google or YouTube and watch it and get all the information that I had on each particular model. Now, up until now, I do believe that that was the most complete information on Norland axes, but it was always lacking some history. At the time of me making that series, there wasn't a lot of history to go off of, or not a lot of information to put together the history, other than the price list that I had, which were tremendously helpful in making that series because it helped me date all the models and identify all the models. So anyways, enough about that. If you haven't seen the series, like I said, I'll put a link in the video or the description or whatever to the playlist. You can go and enjoy that 3 minutes at a time. Each video is short on purpose, but the intro is the same for everyone. I don't know if that was a smart move or not. Maybe I shouldn't have done an intro. Either way, the information's there if you would like to watch it. So a couple weeks ago, I am on the social medias, and someone tags me in a post on Facebook, and it was about Norland axes. And I always, that's not uncommon. I get tagged in the axe groups a lot on Norland axes. And this time I saw that there was a book written, and the book is called A Brief History of O.A. Norland and the Axes, Hatchets, and Other Products That Bear His Name. And it's written by Michael S. McBride. Now, I am aware of this gentleman. He has written several other books about axes, and I have them in my watch list or wish list on Amazon. I just haven't picked them up yet. I will now. But I was not aware of this book, and I believe this book was written in 2024. So it's a fairly recent book, and wow, do I wish I would have had this book when I made my series. Now he does, this is also interesting. Now I've never met Michael. I just recently friend requested him on Facebook due to this book, and thanked him because he did, in fact, gave me a little shout out here in the very beginning of the book. He wrote, many thanks to Mr. Mike Miller for his assistance and generous contributions to the information provided in this book, which Mike Miller is a friend of mine who is very knowledgeable in axes and axe history, and he's probably one of the most knowledgeable persons that I know of, other than possibly Michael here. When it comes to axe history, he's the go-to, and he is actually the reason why I was able to make that series of Norland videos. He provided me with a lot of the literature that I had in those videos that helped me connect the dots. So then it reads, and to Christopher Killinger for his amazing YouTube series on Norland axes, which is just fantastic. He never said he was giving me a shout out, never told me he was writing this book. I obviously watched the series, and I'm honored to be included in helping him put this book together. In a roundabout way. I didn't directly help him. He could probably have done it without my help, but it's still cool to be recognized. In the back, in the sources, he again writes, Killinger, Christopher, collection of educational videos involving Norland axes in 3 minutes or less, accessed November 2024. So full credit was given in the writing of this book. There's many other sources in the back, and I'm not going to read them all. If you're serious about collecting Norland axes, this is a must-have, absolutely must-have. So, like I said, Michael doesn't know who I am. I didn't tell him I was going to make this video. I have no affiliation with this book. I don't make any money. I wasn't paid to talk about this book. It literally is just me saying, hey, if you're into Norland axes, you need this book. If you're willing to buy the axes, you're definitely willing to buy this book. So, pretty simple book. I believe this is a print on demand. The print is fantastic. All the pictures are in color. Most of the pictures are in color. The print's easy to read. I mean, the book's well built for a paperback. I don't know if it's available in hard copy or not, but I think it's available on Kindle as well. But anyways, I don't understand this completely, but I believe this was a print on demand. I had this thing in 2 days. I ordered it 2 days later. It showed up. I am a Prime member, so I don't know if that makes a difference. So, so the contents of this book is based around O.A. Norland, which was the founder of Genuine Norland Axes. I'm sure some of you have just Google searched Norland enough to know that. At some point in the timeline, and I don't have all that information right in front of me, and it's probably in this book, but I haven't read this book completely. O.A. Norland reached out to Man Edge Tool Company to produce his line of axes, and then that got the ball rolling. And at some point, Man Edge bought the line, the Genuine Norland name, and continued to produce axes and fishing gaffs and such. And then over time, stuff fell off, as you know, it wasn't as popular. Yada yada yada. And the rest is history. And that's how we ended up with such a large selection of Norlands. There really is a lot of different axes, which is something I'm going to talk about later, is how I figured out all the different lines of axes and put that series together. But anyways, so pretty standard book here. I don't really... Starts off with a little bit of history of the lumber industry in Pine Creek. So there's a brief history here, and I'm sure that ties into Norland somehow. Olaf August Norland, O.A. Norland. So this is the history of him. And then there's a bunch of patents and old literature and ads in this book. There's tons of pictures and just documents. Very, very interesting stuff if you want to deep dive into Norland and how it all came about, where it came from. So it looks like Norland held several different patents, and then he gives a list of all the patents. This is a very detailed book, like ridiculously detailed book. So this is for you axe nerds like myself. There you guys might recognize that's a what do they call that? A Gatliff, or what is that thing called? I mean, if you've searched Norland on eBay, you've seen these. What are those things called? I don't know. But they're for fishing. You've seen the ice creepers probably on eBay. It's going to give you a history of that. Looks like there's several different ones. I've always wanted to buy a set of those ice creepers. New in a box. I thought that would look cool in a Norland display, which I'm still working on. And someday I'm going to have this wall behind you guys. I'm going to have that whole wall finished like the rest of the walls in the shop. And then I'm going to display all the Norlands on that wall. I'm going to bring them out of the house and display them on the wall in the shop here. Would have made a great backdrop for this video, hey? List of things unfinished. So more patents. There's like a whole chapter here on patents. And there's a lot of them. Like there's a ton. And these old patents are actually really neat to read. Oh, this is very interesting. The Norland spearhead. I have seen these spearheads on eBay over the decades. I guess maybe a decade. Time of searching for Norlands, I have seen these several times. Wanted to buy them, and just never have. I don't look on eBay for Norlands as much as I used to. I still have a notification set up, and whenever a new Norland is uploaded to eBay, I get a notification on my phone. I don't look at them hardly ever, but I do occasionally. Here's a line gaff, fish spears, hook gaff, D-handle gaff. Then this is interesting, a concrete spacer bar removers. Okay. Like I said, this is deep dive. There's a jack, like a jack for picking up a car. Tack puller. Man, they made everything. Corn slitters, corn grater. I've seen the corn graters on the old eBays. So then now this is the main part of the book that most of us will be interested in, the Man Edge Tool Company. So now we're going to get to the story of how the axes came to be, and I'm not going to read that out loud. I'm going to leave that to you to buy the book. But it is just chock full of fantastic pictures, lots of words, screenshots. These are screenshots of the late model Norlands that were in sold by the what is it, EZ company. I talked about that in my Norland Voyager video, I believe. I have a Norland Voyager in a clamshell package, and that was sold by the EZ company, and so it talks about that and a couple screenshots from their website. So more about the different products, like the fishing gaffs and all that. Again, tons of pictures. Like almost every page has some sort of picture on it. Here is the elusive bush knife / machete, which at the time of my video, all I had was this ad right here, this picture, when I talked about that. But I have since acquired this machete, brand new in the package, and what I might insert a picture of it here in the video right about now. But somebody sent me a link to it on eBay via Instagram, and I can't remember who that was, but shout out to you, thanks again. But they sent me that link. I clicked on it, and I couldn't hit buy it now fast enough. It had a buy it now price, and I don't recall what it was. It wasn't crazy. I didn't even take the time to read or look at the pictures. I just saw this bush knife, brand new in the package, the Norland packaging. I bought it. It's mine. It's the only one that I know in existence, and there's the reason behind that is because nowhere on the machete does it say Norland. It doesn't have this fancy sheath that they show in the ad. It's just a very basic sheath, and it was made by Collins, which makes sense because Man Edge made Collins machetes at some point. So I believe that's the correct history. If I'm wrong, write in a comment down below. But anyways, I now have that machete. I'm very thankful for it. So then it starts getting into the different lines of axes. So we have the cabin axe, the Camper, which this actually helped me solidify a theory. I had only ever seen this in a rough picture on Google search. I wasn't sure what it was, but now I know. The Camper. I got to show you all these, but there's a picture of every one. The campsite toolkit. I've showed those in my videos. It has a shovel, the hunter's hatchet, and the saw, the famous saw. So that's, and I have two of those kits actually, not complete, but two boxes and one shovel. Unfortunately, I wish I had two shovels. The shovel doesn't say Norland on it anywhere; it just says made in USA. The Canadian, the Deep River knife. I've made, that's included in my, well, all of these are included. I have videos on all of these. Here's the guide saw with a nice full colored ad for it. The Frontiersman, that's the actual tomahawk. Looks like a tomahawk. The log splitter, the mini maul. The mini maul. This is fantastic because when I bought that mini maul, I wasn't sure if it was real or not. After I got it, I decided it was real. But then there was no proof. I have no proof. There's no ads. There's nothing in a price list about the mini maul. But he did find an ad with the mini maul in it from, I don't know what the date, 1983, which would line up with the time period of the mini maul. And then there's been another YouTuber who bought one off eBay as well. Same exact as mine. Same stickers and condition and everything. So the mini maul is real. I was 90% sure before. Now I'm 100% sure it is real. And it's cool to see it in this book. The Rock Hound, that's the little prospector pick. The funny story about that prospector pick, when I started collecting Norlands, I only had what was on yesteryear tools to go by, and they didn't have a lot of information. There was only like 6 models of Norlands listed on their website. So I originally thought that, oh, that's, you just got to collect 6. That's it. And I thought for sure I'd never find a prospector pick. That thing comes up on eBay by the hundreds. They must have made millions of those things. I might be exaggerating a little bit, but like there are so many of those prospector picks. Like that, if you want to get your feet wet with Norlands and you just want to get a little taste of collecting some Norlands, get the Rock Hound first. I mean, it's easy to find and they're fairly cheap. I don't know, not cheap, but they're not as crazy as some of these other Norland go for it. And you can check that one off your box real quick. The Saddle Cruiser. What an amazing resource this is. The Tomahawk, which is the large Hudson Bay. The Trailblazer, which is the double bit swamper pattern. The Voyager, which is the small Hudson Bay. The Wanigan. So I saw this on the price list, but I had no idea what it was till I got this book. But it is a Canadian axe. It's the Canadian and the Green River knife sold together in a kit. And they called it the Wanigan. And he talks about what that means and where it comes from. And then he gives a brief little paragraph here on other Norland oddities. And he talks about the 2.5 pound cruiser axe, the 3.5 pound Michigan double bit axe. That's it, just those two. And then these would not, but due to lack of documentation on Norland price list, which is what I use to put together my series, and I have these axes with, I made one video with these two axes and the mini maul. And I think I called it the rarest Norlands of all time because I didn't have, like he said, there was no way to get some sort of information on these because there's no literature on them. They're not on any price list. They're very rare. So there's just no information on them, but they exist and they are real. I've seen enough of them to realize that they are real. Guys, to my knowledge, there is no fake Norlands out there at this time. I mean, that could change. There's no fake Norlands. Like, there's no reason to. They're not highly sought after. Well, I mean, that's wrong. There's no reason to. They're not super expensive. It's not like a Black Raven where you have a very unique etching on them or anything. They were basic axes with a Japanning on the head that looked red. The handles were charred, and they had an orange sticker on the over top the eye. Like that was it. There was nothing crazy unique about them. And Man Edge could literally take any single one of their axes out of their line, give it the Norland traits, and produce another Norland. So I think that's where the Cruiser and the Michigan double bit come from, is just their ability to make whatever they want. And probably towards the end of the axe craze, they were probably trying everything to see if anything would stick or sell. The rest is history, so they say. Then in the last page here, we already briefly talked, or the last few pages here, we already briefly talked about. He gives all his sources, so if you wanted to get this book and then, I mean, Google search these sources, that's something I plan on doing. I'm sure you can find a lot of the information that's in this book in those sources. So that's it. This is a fantastic book. If you're serious about Norland axes in any way, you should go ahead and pick this book up. It's not terribly expensive. You're going to help a self-publishing writer slash author, which I think is fantastic. We live in a time where you can bypass all the nonsense, and the world is yours. I mean, how lucky are we to have a source like this? This is a fantastic resource for a Norland guy or any axe collector. I mean, I have a whole bookshelf of this whole bookshelf right here is all axes. I don't know if you can see it. It's all axe literature. It's different books about axes, and well, there's a couple other books in there that don't fall in line with that. But like this, it's an incredible resource. And even with Google, I wasn't able to find all this information that he found and put together in this book back when I was doing my Norland series. So it's a fantastic resource to have. It's not expensive, and I'm just thankful that someone took the time to write this book for guys like us who want to know more about the history, or passionate about our collecting. And what a fantastic resource. So that's it, guys. That's my review of the brief history of O.A. Norland and the axes, hatchets, and other products that bear his name. I'll leave a link in the description below, and I thank you for watching my video. I'll see you guys in the next one.